Now, this is what Pep Guardiola is not telling all these modern day managers who are trying to copy him or mimic him. You don't understand? Yes, a lot of them want to do the inversion thing, want to do invert in the pivot, want to invert in the half space, want to play out from the back beautifully. Yes, when these things are done, when they are done with perfection, they look so beautiful and you can score from there. But then again, when one piece, when there is one misplaced pass or one heavy touch, it can go south. You can concede. And statistically and factually, there have been more goals conceded from trying to play out from the back than from trying to score or build up from the back to score. You understand? So, is modern football a scam or is modern football overrated? Because we have seen a lot of players now turn average. We've seen a lot of players or goalkeepers look average. You understand? Because of this modern day football team, because they can't use their legs, because they can't play under pressure in their own post. You don't understand? But again, another thing that Pep Guardiola is not telling these people is that you cannot do this with any player out there. He is not also telling them that you must understand the profile of players to the T. And this is not what is taught in your tactical analysis or coaching classes. It is what you understand from your football natural ability. You understand? It's what you get from your football knowledge. Understanding the different types of players you have at your disposal. You cannot do it with any other player there. What happened when Pep Guardiola was in Barcelona? You don't understand? When Pep Guardiola was in Barcelona, he saw that Dani Alves was a very much attacking defender or fullback. That his attacking instinct or strength feels even better than his defensive instinct. So he pushes him up to join the attack. He has good crossing ability. He has good knowledge of the ball. He cannot break under pressure. He has good understanding with Lionel Messi. So he can hold the width here while Messi inverts inside. And then Puyol will cover for him. You also often see Puyol in the right back, even sometimes starting as the right back. Then you have Piqué, and then you have Abida, who is not as attacking as Dani Alves. He's not as athletic, especially during those times in the later parts of his career. Then you have Busquets here. And sometimes because of the kind of quality these guys have here, Guardiola do not care so much about transitions because they barely lose the ball. So sometimes Xavi will remain in this place, or Xavi can just come here and you will have that 3-2-5 shape. While Iniesta will also push very further here. You understand? And sometimes you have 3-1-6. These guys will be in the half space while Messi is free to roam about, finding spaces anywhere in this place. But then when he left Barcelona, he went to Bayern Munich, where they do all this gang pressing, and no team, no matter how small, is afraid of pressing. So the game is almost won in the midfield here. Every of them want to press. Every of them want to press very high. What did Guardiola do? He looked at the profile of players in his disposal. You understand? The fullbacks he had there was Alaba and Lam. Very intelligent, fantastic players who can hold the ball, who can pass ball, who can break lines. What did he do? Because the game is won in the midfield, he inverted two of them and played with the 2-3-4-1 formation when they have the ball. You understand? Because these players can do it. And then these guys are at that stage, they are not so athletic in going and coming back. And then he had wingers like Robben and Ribery who can take on players. One player is not enough for them to take on with fun. And then you have Muller, and then maybe Thiago Alcantara or Godze. Players who can play on that half space. But when he comes to City, he had the likes of Zabaleta, Sagna, Kolarov, Clichy. And these guys, they cannot invert in that role. They do not have that football understanding and intelligence to do that role. And they were actually aging. And they cannot even do that. So what did he do? He inverted only one player. You understand? He inverted, and it was not even a left back. He had to convert Fabian Delph. For those of us who remember, who played at Aston Villa, he had to invert him into the midfield to be with Fernandinho, because he's a good passer of the ball, and he's a midfield. Of course, he doesn't fold under pressure. He inverted him, and then the year later, when Fabian Delph got injured and stuff, he inverted Zinchenko, who was initially on loan to PSV. You understand? That is what he did, so that you have four midfielders against the much three midfielders Premier League normally plays. You understand? So that you win the balls and you win the second balls. He learned from his first season when he went trophyless how important the second balls were. Xabi Alonso told him when he was coming to England, but he did not understand it so well. So moving on, he also later bought Kyle Walker, bought Mendy, but Mendy cannot invert as well as Kyle Walker. So sometimes when he plays Mendy, Mendy goes to join the attack to have that five. Then he drops David Silva. You understand, into that pivot, or he drops Gundogan. But when he has a left back, maybe Zinchenko, and later when he had Cancelo, Cancelo was inverting into this, he will now push Gundogan. And sometimes later he found out that Cancelo is more athletic. Cancelo cannot fold under pressure, so he had good crossing. You understand? I can take on players. So he was causing menace. He pushed Cancelo here, where he was causing menace. He can take on players, and I swear he can have those deep crosses. Remember that cross or pass he gave to Haaland in the Champions League against Dortmund with the Trevella. You understand? So this was how brilliant this man is. Did you ever see Pep Guardiola invert Kyle Walker? No. Did you ever see Pep Guardiola invert Ake more recent times? No. Did you ever see him invert Ruben Dias? And when he discovered he did not have all these fullbacks, when Zinchenko was gone, Cancelo was gone, he did not have these fullbacks that he can invert, that have this good football knowledge or intelligence. What did he do? He started inverting from the centre back row, which also the reason for that founded that is because teams were learning how to hurt him in the wide areas when he inverts. You understand? National players with very good national wingers will be able to hurt him before these guys can cover up, or before this guy can cover up, then there will be space here. This guy can pass the ball here. So he started inverting one of his defenders, but he did not just invert anybody. He looked at John Stones, his football IQ. He looked at Akanji. Did you ever see him invert Ruben Dias? And why did he not do that? How many times have you seen him invert Vadio? I think I've seen him only twice. Do you understand? So you must understand the profile. You don't just invert anybody for the sake of inverting. Do you understand? And sometimes when he doesn't have anybody to invert, he brings Bernardo Silva to play as a pivot with Rodri. He will shift one left back up or one right back up, and then others will be here. And that is the problem I have with Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca feels like he can invert anybody just to have that formation. Reece James and Gusto are not the players to invert. They are naturally athletic. Their main distinct should be up front, where they can create spaces. How many assists did Gusto have last season? Despite the fact that Chelsea were woeful. Do you know how many assists was wasted? But I think he was Chelsea's player with the second or third highest number of assists, or if not the first. I think he had about 7 in the Premier League or something. Look at the James. You don't understand? A lot of people will come with the fact that the James is still recovering and stuff. But what of Lavia that plays in this pivot but is not yet fit? What of Diaby? What of Wheelchair? What of a lot of players? I know a lot of players that Kobe Menu, that plays in this pivot or midfield that gets injured often. So the fact that James is being played here is not the reason why he's not being injured. You don't understand? And again, when Pep Guardiola did not tell these people again that you have to be in a club that will be able to back you with the players that you need for this role, because not every player that can do that. A lot of players did not start to play at the back from their youth stage. You understand? So these are the things that all these players are missing, and that is the reason why Pep Guardiola cherry picks the job that he takes. He wants to go at the summit, the highest clubs, where the players can adapt, because the players are quality players. Apart from him playing this style of football, how many other modern day managers have won more than the so-called old or traditional managers? Check in the Champions League, check the league titles, the people who are winning it. You understand? So these are the things that these coaches have to understand, knowing the profile of players at your disposal, knowing that not every player can do what you want them to do. You understand? Look, take for instance, if Chelsea inverts Cucurella, remember when he was inverted, he's able to press aggressively. He can counter press when Chelsea lose the ball. He can press here, press it to this place, because you understand that doing those things will make his weakness that he left here not to be exposed. You understand? But inverting Gusto has made Gusto worse. It's made him look half of himself. For somebody that came from French League 1 to the Premier League and was so efficient last season. But this season, look at him. Bringing James here has not improved his game at all. You understand? So, and then when you look at your defenders, if your defenders are not good enough to defend these channels when you invert, then it's going to be a problem. You are not just going to invert anybody just for the sake of inverting. If you don't have the defenders to invert, let your midfielder be a pivot. And then let these ones join the attack. Let James join the attack. Let your midfielder be a pivot. Guardiola is doing it with Bernardo Silva. He did it with Gundogan. Even this season, you can see that Kovacic and Gundogan were the most people that are on this pivot role. And then you see Vadio bumping, and then Matt now is O'Reilly. He's the one joining the attack. You understand? This one will be here. And then he has that three at the base. So it's not a must that you must invert your defense, use your defenders for all these things to be here. Your defenders can be the one that is joining the attack to create that 5 at the front and then 3 at the back. Do you understand? So that's just it. And again, look at coaches like Arteta. What has he achieved after 5 years? Despite buying some play, despite giving the massive funding. Look at Company. You understand? With all the fugazi he did with Burnley, he took them to relegation. So how many of them is really winning? Where is Roberto Di Zerbi now? Is he not in Marseille? What is he doing? Is he winning the league with all the... So it's time for us to tell ourselves the truth. What of Marcelo Bielsa and Mauricio Sarri? What have they really won? Have they won more than the likes of these old managers? So sometimes it's good to do the basics and understand the players at your disposal. It's with the proper understanding of the players at your disposal, it will give you informed decision and the style of play that you have. Tell me what you think, and that will be on the comment section. This is Football Matter, Catalyst and Analysis, the football pace fire, the football encyclopedia. Peace, no cheats.